Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. There sure have been a lot of positive XRP related headlines out there recently, including this one from You Today, which reads as follows: XRP is on the cusp of potential breakout, says top trader. And then there's this one from today: 243 million XRP transferred among Ripple exchanges and unknown wallets as shuffling across 1 billion XRP this week. And so they actually are talking about on-demand liquidity within this article. And then there was this one also from the Crypto Basic. Users can now convert XRP to Mexican pesos for cross-border settlement. So they're talking about increased adoption with XRP, along with admittedly a couple other cryptos. But it's interesting to see. So I wanted to share with you that. And I think it's also an undeniable fact that, look, crypto in general, and this does include XRP, mind you, like, it has been life-changing for so many people. I believe that it will continue to be in the future, but I think that so many people are just going to completely mutilate their opportunity to achieve that life-changing wealth. So the opportunity's there, but I'm not confident that most are going to achieve what they want. And this is, this is not the message that you necessarily hear from the fake internet gurus out there. All they'll say is the rah-rah stuff without any of the warnings of risk and, hey, you do need to actually educate yourself, and you need to be emotionally in a specific place. The fake internet gurus out there will say, oh, you can do it too, and here's my course for $99.99 a month, like that type of crap. And I'm just like, I don't have anything to sell you folks. I'm just telling you, I'm a regular dude. There's nothing special about me, but I think it's such an empowering message that we really all can achieve life-changing wealth in crypto if we just understand some basic things. Take what we have learned from 100 plus years of activity in the stock market and apply the relevant portions to what it is to operate in the crypto space. Because the relevant portions in my mind largely have to do with just controlling one's emotions, because history shows those that just hold, even during the most rocky of times in the stock market, as long as you have sufficient exposure, which in my mind, even if you're just talking an index fund, you can talk about the S&P 500, history shows you're fine. You're more than fine. You're on average up over 10% per year. So yes, there are some years where maybe you're down 15%, but there are also some years maybe you're up 25%. So that's what it is. But sometimes your net worth is going to go down for 1 or 2 years at a time. That is just a thing. But anyway, if you apply those practices to crypto, my gosh, it's like those incredible returns for the stock market over time, but on steroids, because things are happening faster in crypto for a number of reasons. There's a frenzy around the asset class. Adoption's happening quickly. Markets are so illiquid. There's so little money in the space that when more flows in, it's like you get this quick multiplying effect. Prices get bid up so quickly. So there really still is that opportunity, but I don't think that most people are emotionally equipped. So that doesn't mean that you listening aren't. And the opportunity is there. And to me, it's just such an empowering message. But I wanted to talk about that too, because there's this article, and this is from June. I actually had this pulled up for a video back after this thing came out, and at some point I ended up not getting to it whenever I had it pulled up, but it was mentioned by a Twitter account, which made me think, oh yeah, I was going to talk about that one, and I never got around to it. But look at this. This is from marketplace.org. A third of people earning $250,000 or more live paycheck to paycheck. So folks, think about this. If you're not in the right space, even if you achieve life-changing wealth, you're not going to have it very long if you don't know what the hell you're doing. I'm just saying. But before going any further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And I wanted to mention this because I have not an opportunity yet, but there's an article from CoinDesk, and everybody's been talking about this for the last 2 days. But their headline here was Blackrock to offer crypto for institutional investors through Coinbase Prime. So Blackrock, which is the largest investment firm on the entire planet, which at one point had $10 million in assets under management. Apparently, by I think the end of Q2, it was down to like 8.5 trillion, but that's not necessarily surprising considering the rocky economic times that we're in right now. But that's still a crazy amount. 8.5 trillion with a T? Yeah, that's what they're managing. And they're jumping into crypto. So think about this. Like, you are in crypto before all of these investors that BlackRock is going to convince to buy crypto. You're in it before all of them. Wait until we keep saying the floodgates are increasingly opening. But my gosh, when you're talking about something like this, it is that big. And look, it's fair to critique. A lot of people have a lot of problems with BlackRock, and that's fine. Perfectly happy to talk about that in another video. That I'm not going to for the purpose of this video. But even so, even if you hate BlackRock and you think that they're terrible, and maybe you're not entirely wrong, although I still think that it's a lot of nonsense political stuff. Like really, they're like, look, let's be real. There's shady stuff going on because people at BlackRock, they're connected with people at the highest levels of the United States government. Like I'm certainly not denying that. Like that is absolutely true. So they get preferential treatment and this and that. So like I'll speak out against that type of stuff, but it really does seem to be like what they've been doing in terms of, I don't know if you guys have been following what they've been doing in like terms of the housing market, which some people find repulsive. They're just like paying substantially over asking price to outbid people that actually want to buy homes. Stuff. There's been stuff like that, but they're operating within the rule of law. Like Congress is allowing this shit. So it's just. It's fair to critique it, but there's a lot more to it. And if anybody's interested, I'm happy to unpack that more in a future video. But I'm just saying, like, even setting that aside, even if you find BlackRock to be repulsive, that's fine. But still, the fact is, like, you're here before all of these firms that they cater to as the largest investment firm on the planet. You're here first. Like, what do you think is ultimately going to happen, right? As that money comes in, prices are going to get bid up. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. There's so much opportunity here. So even though a few people are paying attention right now, because it's a bear market, so there's less excitement, things are down, and I get it. This is not the first time that I've been in bearish territory. I launched my YouTube channel, coincidentally, at the bottom of the bear market. I knew it was a bear market. I didn't know that I was launching it right at the bottom. It was the middle of December of 2018, so I'm used to this. I pay attention the whole time, whether it's bull time or bear time, whatever. I don't care. It's important to stay tuned and in tune with what's going on. That's my personal opinion anyway. In fact, if anything, it's more important to pay attention when the rest of the people are not, because in particular for people who want to build positions, because this is when everything's cheap. This is the most important time to pay attention, but people mostly pay attention at the time where there's just this euphoria. And yeah, fine, important to pay attention then too, but not as much. If you haven't gotten the proper setup prior to that, it only matters so much. Take a look at this from the Crypto Basic. 243 million XRP transferred among Ripple exchanges and unknown wallets as shuffling across 1 billion XRP this week. The rising demand for Ripple's on-demand liquidity solution is still fueling the large movement of XRP between cryptocurrency exchanges and unknown wallets. Over the week, more than 1 billion XRP have moved between unknown wallets and cryptocurrency exchanges. Yesterday, nearly 600 million XRP tokens were transferred in multiple transactions, 224 million on the 3rd of August and 172 million on the 2nd of August and 224 million today. And so, like, I just wanted to say, it's fascinating to see how much is going here. Maybe it's on-demand liquidity, maybe they're right, but even if they're not, it's just so fascinating to see this amount of money, this much activity, and this is during a down portion of the cycle. What do you think is going to happen as things heat up and as on-demand liquidity continues to get adopted? I just think it bodes well for the long-term viability of XRP and the XRP ledger in general. And then this is just further adoption of XRP. This is also from the Crypto Basic. Users can now convert XRP to Mexican pesos for cross-border settlements. The partners leverage XRP. Oh yeah, here, sorry. I missed this because it was in bold. It looked like it was something else. Everest partners Bitso to facilitate cross-border settlement from XRP to Mexican pesos. The partners leverage XRP to allow Mexicans to receive funds in local fiat. Leading cryptocurrency exchange Bitso has partnered with Everest, a crypto custodian offering XRP and stablecoins. And I'll pause and note, Bitcoin is also a partner of Ripple's. And the corridor from the United States to Mexico, which was utilizing the Bitso cryptocurrency exchange in Mexico, before the SEC jumped in, that was the most important on-demand liquidity and most adopted on-demand liquidity corridor on the entire planet. It no longer exists. It's at 0, but I think it's going to come back once we, have a proper disposition of the lawsuit, let's say. Anyway, peace continues. The partnership will enable Everest users based in Mexico to receive funds from their loved ones who reside in the United States, Singapore, and Europe. Now, Bob Reed, the CEO of Everest, shed more light on the initiative, saying users can add funds to the payment app directly from their bank accounts. The funds will first be converted to credit tokens, and afterwards, users can also convert the CRDT to cryptocurrencies like XRP, Bitcoin, and stablecoins, which can be sent directly from the US, Singapore, and Europe into Mexico. So look, we'll see long term what most people want to convert into primarily if they're going to stay in the world of crypto and not just jump into fiat currency. It's still a question mark out there. Like, some people like Bitcoin maxis, they act as though Bitcoin's number one forever. It's going to be number one forever. I'm like, it is so early. Like the idea of Bitcoin never getting flipped, it's a little iffy to me. I mean, maybe okay, but I'm a bit skeptical to that idea. Is the biggest problem that you can solve with crypto a store of value? I mean, if so, okay, maybe Bitcoin stays number one just because it was the first. I'm a bit skeptical on that though. But in terms of opportunity, I still got to say, like, there's so much opportunity with XRP and crypto in general. But I look at the way that people treat money, and so many people are incapable of spending beneath their means. And just within the last few weeks or so, I even was tweeting about this, how it's important to live beneath one's means, and I was talking about how it's not good to have debt if you don't need debt, just generally speaking. It doesn't mean that there can't be situations where it can be used for business. Like, I took out a business loan a long ago. But when I'm saying debt's bad, generally speaking, I think that's true, because how are most people using debt? Well, they're using it to take out auto loans, and which is, means they're buying new cars, how much they depreciate. I mean, some of them are used cars, but still, you know what I'm talking about. And then there's credit debt, and then you're paying upwards of 20% in interest. And so those are the primary means of wealth destruction for people in even in middle class America. So that's mostly what I'm getting at. I mean, I'm not saying you can't find ways, but then, like, even if you're going to take on the risk of starting a business, you understand most businesses fail. So you can do that if you're willing to take on the risk, but it's like, how much risk should people take on? After a decade, most businesses have gone out of business. Look up the stats. I can't pull them like off the top of my head. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's bad. If you launch a business, if you're around after 10 years, like, that's exceedingly rare. I don't know if it's like 10 or 20 or 30% of businesses. You have to look it up, but it's a small percentage that still exists. So if you're taking out a loan to do that, maybe it's paid off before that. And but a lot of businesses fail in the first few years, frankly, especially the first 12 months. So it's not that there can't be good things to come from taking on debt, but the people that fail, they're not going to look at that as a blessing. You know what I'm saying? So just in a general sense, I mean, take on risk if you really want to. I'm just saying that I don't think that people are sufficiently taught financial literacy in grade school in the United States. I don't think that's sufficiently taught. I really don't. And I don't think that the eighth wonder of the world, which is compound interest, I don't think that's sufficiently taught. And so then you get these people, when they're actually making good money, they're not like, they're living at or above their means. They are like, they can't hold themselves back. And so the adult approach to life is to live beneath one's means, which is what I do. I don't engage, like, with rare exception, I don't really tend to engage in lifestyle inflation, which is this idea of as you make more money, you spend more to keep up because you can, quote unquote, afford it. What I look at as I've made more money over the years is an opportunity to save and invest even more, and then that money's working for me, and then you get this greater snowball effect. To me, that's more important than having more stuff, just generally speaking. And stuff is fine. I'm not against stuff, but it's not like it's certainly not the recipe for happiness in life either, though. I'll tell you that. But there's this tweet from the Watcher Guru account several days ago, and they wrote, statistic: 58% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, including 30% of those making over $250,000 a year, CNBC report reveals. And so it reminded me of this article, which I intended to share a little bit back, and then I never got around to it. It's from June 3rd of this year, titled, "A third of people earning $250,000 or more live paycheck to paycheck." Now, look, I understand that there are certain geographic regions where people tend to get paid more. Living situations can be a lot more expensive than where I live, which is in the Midwest in the United States. I mean, you should see what you can buy, even for just like, if you compare, like, at any price point, but like, if you're talking about like $600,000 in the Midwest versus like $600,000 like the West Coast, certain parts of the West Coast, like, dude, it's wacky. Like, you're talking about getting like a 5,000 square foot home in the Midwest versus on the West Coast, where are you going to get like a condo or something. I don't know. It's wacky. So I understand that. But even setting that aside, if you're talking about making that kind of money and you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's not only because of the living situation. That could be a big part of it, but you're overstretching in so many ways. And so the type of people that do this, like if you gain this type of wealth with XRP or anything else, if you're the type of person that is just going to live to the max, like you're not going to live there very long. It's the same with like football players in the NFL. They make a fortune, but how many of them end up going broke because they're not sufficiently talented? And I understand, not firsthand, but from what I've read, the NFL allegedly, at least to some degree, has been trying to push to educate NFL players on, long-term financial investment and why that's important. Because it's like you can live like a king for a few years while you're in the NFL, but then after that, you're never going to make that kind of money ever again, like for most people anyway. Well, it's the same if you win the lottery. If you don't know what you're doing, you're not financially literate, you can or have that fortune, and then, there's a reason that most people that win the lottery end up bankrupt. And that is fact, by the way. You can look that up. Most people that win the lottery, they squander it all. They don't know what they're doing. They're not financially literate. And so if you get a fortune and it's because of XRP or any other crypto, well, hopefully if you're the type that's investing, at least you're more financially literate. And I'd be willing to bet that you probably are if you're listening to this. Not because it's the Moon Lambo channel, but if you're educated and learning more and into crypto and as interested in it as I am, I suspect that you're probably a cut above in those terms, so maybe you're at less of a risk. But it's still worth being aware of this, because if you have this fortune, it can be squandered. That's why, to me, once substantial returns are made, it just makes sense to take that profit and put it somewhere else. But look at this article. It reads as follows. Nearly 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, compared to about half who said that this time last year. That's according to a new survey out this week from e-commerce news site payments.com and the digital bank lending club. Yeah, so pause to note here, things are getting worse, especially in terms of inflation. That's another reason it's important to live beneath your means, so that if and when things do get worse, it's not going to crush your soul, right? If you don't have debt, then if things get worse, you have a lot less to stress about. Are you going to lose the house? Are you going to lose the car? Well, not if you own it all. And I understand it's not like everybody can go out and buy a home, but you get the concept of what I'm sharing, right? The less risk you take on, the less you have to worry about these things. Which is why I'm all about living beneath one's means, because I also understand what it is, what's important in life, and it's friends, it's family, those types of connections. And yes, stuff is great, but that's not the true path to happiness. Eventually you get all the stuff, and then the glamour of it wears off, and then you're just back at baseline. So you can be making that much more money, but it just becomes normal eventually, and all the glamour around that goes away, and then that's just life. And if you don't have the rest of this stuff, it doesn't really matter, frankly. And so if you can just recognize that, then you're a long bit of the way there, I'll tell you that. Anyway, piece continues. About 1/3 of those making $250,000 or more are living paycheck to paycheck. Living paycheck to paycheck can mean one of two things, according to this report. The first one is people that manage to pay all their bills, but at the end of the month, they have nothing left. And then the other part is obviously those who are struggling to pay their bills, said Anuj Nayar at Lending Club, adding that most high-income people who live paycheck to paycheck have enough to cover their expenses, but not much else. One of the advantages that high-income Americans have is they do have more flexibility, but they've also taken on a lot more debt, said Nayar, whether that's a mortgage, car loan, student debt, or credit card debt. Exactly. So you could be making like a quarter of what some of these people are earning, and you could save a lot more and become substantially more wealthy. And people, I'm telling you, people in the middle class even, like, if you just save money from a young age, you'll be a multi-millionaire many times over by the time you retire. And that's the secret that nobody talks about. Like you don't see this taught sufficiently in grade school. That's for sure. That's compound interest, though. Can you just saving like $500 a month? Like, just don't have a car payment. Even that makes you a multi-millionaire if you don't have a car payment and put that money that would have gone into a car payment into investments for like 40 years, or even not even 40, 30 years, whatever. Multi-millionaire, my friend. Run it on a compound interest calculator. I'm not making this stuff up here. And that's just from not having a freaking car. It's that car that you think, oh, it's only $50,000. No, it's actually over the course of your adult life, millions. It's not just $50,000. And you can think, oh, it's just a $500, $600, $700 a month payment. No. It's over a span of decades, it's literally millions of dollars. That's what you're doing for a car. So why not just get one that's slightly used? Like, what's the problem? Once you drive your car for the first time, you now have a used car anyway. Like, once you drive it, it's already used. So why not just get one that somebody made used first so that it's cheaper? Like, what I'm just saying, guys. This is the way I look at the world. Some people are different. Some people get really combative when I say stuff like this, and I'm like, I'm just talking about financial responsibility. You make your own decisions. But I'm just saying, when it comes to credit card debt and these car payments, my gosh, it's not a blessing for most people. It's a curse, if anything. And so if you want to take risk, more power to you. And a lot of people have taken risks and they found success taking risks to start businesses. And I've done that. Okay, I get it. It can be done. I'm just saying, the more risk most people take on, like, it's not going to make their lives better, folks. It really isn't. But I'll go ahead and wrap up there. Just when you have your crypto riches one day, which I think is very possible, just do something positive with it, which is like, don't go blow it all on hats. Like, if you invest it, you can even put it in real estate. You can manage real estate if you want. There's so many things you could do with it, because that's generally speaking appreciating. I mean, even that can have bad times. Think about the 2008 financial collapse with housing. It's like there's risk everywhere, but still, like, I'm just saying, if you kind of spread out the ways in which you're allocating your funds, you're at less risk than the typical person. But man, just living at the edge, that edge of what you think you can afford, and just maxing stuff out. That's not only is it not ultimately going to provide you happiness, keeping up with the Joneses, you're much more likely to end up broke ultimately if something goes bad. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.